Welcome to this time of the liturgical year that's called Ordinary Time, which really isn't a liturgical season, but it means the counted time, from the Latin word ordinal, the counted time between Pentecost and Advent. And in this time during the summer, during these weeks of counted time, we focus on what it means to be a disciple of Jesus. And today's gospel from the Gospel of Luke invites us to think about that call to discipleship in two ways. One, that call to follow Jesus is in the present moment and not at a later time. And two, we will encounter people who do not like us. That's the reality. What's important is not to carry a sense of revenge in our backpack of discipleship, but to let that go and find another way through life. In this gospel passage of Luke, Jesus has a mindset of going to Jerusalem for the final time. It's his final journey, eventually to his death and crucifixion, and ultimately his resurrection. His mindset is clear. Now, in the gospel, he must have been coming from Galilee because he and the disciples had to pass through the region of Samaria, which is between Galilee and Judea, on the way to Jerusalem down here. So he sent messengers ahead to prepare a place for him to stay. And he was not liked in that area, and they refused to invite them in. He was not welcome. Now the disciples said, well, do you want us to call God down to throw fire and brimstone on them? Almost like this Game of Thrones dragon event. Let's just burn them up. And Jesus said, we only hear in the passage that Jesus reprimanded them and said, no. It's like, almost like, don't pick up that revenge, that need for revenge. Let it go. And Jesus went another way to Jerusalem. That second part of the story, there are people that say, I want to follow you, Jesus. And he says, well, come follow me now. And they said, well, I got to go bury the dead. I got to go take care of a couple things. And he's like, no, it's like, follow me. And it's that invitation, not hesitation. So this week, where do we hear God calling us to follow in love right now? Where is our hesitation? Do we have to pause and say, let me take care of a couple things, God, instead of bringing all of our stuff to God and say, I want to follow. How can I love this day? And secondly, this week, let us be mindful of people or areas in our lives where people do not like us, places where we are not welcome, and we have to find another way to walk in the way of love and accept that reality. How are we challenged to keep moving forward in the direction of God's love? Because God is with us with a mindset of moving forward in love and inviting us every day to follow. Amen.